It's pretty neat because I've spent a lot of time asking the GPTs the various questions about charities and NPOs, and they make a lot of mistakes. They really struggle to know the difference between a not-for-profit corporation and a nonprofit and a charity. They may have problems distinguishing between what is a charitable organization, a private foundation, a public foundation. So this is probably the best tool available to someone who does not have background in this area to be able to come in and quickly get an understanding of what they need to do and whether they qualify. So I'm super excited to release this. I've been working on a chatbot that is custom designed to help you navigate the decision-making process around, like, do you set up a not-for-profit corporation? Do you set up a society? And what do you need in order to register as a charity? And so I just published it, and it took a bunch of workarounds to be able to make it work. But I just published it to our Outsiders Law website, and it's only available on our Incorporate an NPO in Alberta page, just because that's where I first set it up. And in order to access the bot, and again, a lot of workarounds, you have to provide us with a little bit of information. So you come in here, you type in, so I'll put in my name, and it says, "Can I have your last name?" And you can put that in, hit enter, and then it asks for your email. So I will put mine in, Sebastian@outsiders.law. You can't see it there. It's covered by the land bot. So there you go. So now it's taking that, and I will put in my 403-978-4775. Bang. And I'm going to say I want to start a charity. Start a charity. This is really just for our own internal purposes. Once you hit send, it tells you, like, thank you. We've collected your details, and now you can use the bot. So you talk to the bot. Unfortunately, it takes you to a separate ChatGPT page because you can't embed these in your site yet. But here is our Charities and NPO intake GPT. All you got to do, there's pre-questions you can ask it, but it is designed to work you through the process. So if you just say hi, it will immediately go to, like, the basic question, which is, do you want to be able to issue official donation receipts to donors? If I say yes, it now knows that we're going down this charities line. But it needs to know before you go down that route whether you already have an NPO set up. So I'm going to say no, and it knows to ask whether you'd like to set one up, and it asks whether you want to go federal, and it gives you some options. And of course, because of GPT, it shows up a little differently every time, but it's been tuned to give certain answers. So if I say Alberta, just like really sort of generally, it comes back and it talks about the two main ones. It intentionally has been tuned to not talk to you about Part 9 of the Companies Act, which is sort of beyond the scope of me going through this video. And it's basically, it lets you know that as a general rule, we as a firm prefer to incorporate federally because there are disadvantages to the Societies Act, but there are also some times where you need to incorporate under the Societies Act. So if I were to say that, one of the reasons is provincial grants, and certain provincial grants require you to be a society, mostly under the in the education sector. So if I go yes, I want to be able to get education grants, it tells me, slowly apparently, it then recommends that you go provincially under the Societies Act, even though our preference is to go federal. And so then it wants to talk to you a little bit about the purpose, because it wants to make sure that you are charitable. And so I will be a little ridiculous, and I'll just say education, and it will like press me for more information. So, and I'll say, I'll go ahead and do one that's for teaching people about charities and not-for-profits. So I'll say, I want to teach Canadians about charities and not-for-profits. And then it will say, okay, that's pretty good, but like what else? How are you going to do it? And so I then say, I'm going to produce articles and videos to help people understand the process. So now it's still trying to get to this question of like, what are you going to do? And we will produce series, and it tries to tell you, okay, by the way, like I need to know what, where, how often, and who's involved. But it mostly wants to know that it meets the criteria of what it takes to be registered as a charity in education. That helps walk. I'm going to go videos and articles that help walk people through the process of getting registered as a charity or operating as a charity once registered. And these are the thoughts that you really need to work your way through before you can actually move forward with an application. And so it's pressing for more information. So videos and articles will be produced quarterly. They will be published on our website and other social media. We have internal staff that will produce most of the content, but some will be produced by volunteers. And so now it's moved from the activities to trying to make sure that there's like proper budgeting. So we'll say 2 employees and 3 to 5 volunteers. It doesn't care as much about the volunteers. And so now it wants to know that you have thought about your fundraising and how you're going to pay for those. So we're going to say course subscriptions, 150,000, right? And are these subscriptions? Yes, these are subscriptions for the educational content. It's kind of identified that there's like some kind of risk, but it hasn't actually really said much about that. And so how much do you spend on an employee salaries? So I'm going to have 2 employees and they're going to be $100,000. And then it asks you about other operating costs. So I'm going to have rent, insurance, legal, tech, and we'll leave marketing out. And so we'll just be belligerent, and we'll say rent will be 20,000. And then it's going to come back and it's going to ask about the rest of them. Insurance will be 5,000. Legal will be 5,000, not 50, 5,000. And tech will be 2,000. Now it looks at your budget. It says, okay, this looks pretty good. And then it asks you for some information. Now, we'll just say no website yet. And the reason it's asking, because it can't actually store any of this information, is that if you do exist and you're carrying on this stuff, the CRA needs to know this stuff. So it provides you with a quick report. Do you want to be able to issue receipts? Yes. Incorporate already? No. Jurisdiction Alberta Act, Suggested Act, Societies Act. And it gives you some comments on it, and then goes to what your purpose is, and it gives you like a general idea, and it actually throws a proposed purpose at you that should be mostly aligned with what it takes to register as a charity. Then it helps you work on your activities, and these are very brief. You obviously need a lot more in your actual application. And it gets you thinking about it gives you a summary of what you put in for your budget. And it's pretty neat. If you want to share it with us, I've spent a lot of time asking the GPTs, copy this report, send it to us, the various questions about charities and NPOs, and they make a lot of mistakes. Someone will reach out to you and help you really struggle to know the difference between not-for-profit corporation and a non-profit and a charity. They may have problems distinguishing between what is a charitable organization, a private foundation, a public foundation. So this is probably the best tool available to someone who does not have background in this area to be able to come in and quickly get an understanding of what they need to do and whether they qualify. So that's it. Thank you for watching this video.